thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on this University of Glasgow Postgraduate Careers Focus Q&A session. My name's Adele Redhead, and I am one of the programme conveners here at the University of Glasgow, and I'm also the Deputy Dean with responsibility for postgraduate taught study here at the University in the College of Arts and Humanities. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by some wonderful guests. So first of all, we have two people who have graduated from different degree programmes within the College of Arts and Humanities. So I'm going to get them to introduce themselves. So first of all, I'm going to go to Kirsty. Kirsty.
Hi there, I'm Kirsty Hazard, and I'm currently a curator in the exhibitions department at V&A Dundee. And I did 2 degrees at Glasgow. So I did my undergraduate in history, and then I came back and graduated in 2010. And then I came back in 2013 and did a master's in dress and textile histories, which was an MLit. And yeah, I think particularly the undergraduate was a great sort of grounding in history. But I think the postgraduate in particular was hugely influential to the rest of my career. I went on to do a job in the furniture, textiles and fashion department at V&A South Kensington, not that long after finishing my master's, and I've carried through that specialism in fashion and textiles the whole way through my career. So yeah, currently I work on exhibitions with a large fashion focus. So yeah, that master's was integral really to everything that I do and continue to do.
That's smashing, Kirsty. Thanks very much. Next, I'm going to go to Jenny. Jenny, would you like to introduce yourself, please? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenny Alexander. I am a creative freelancer in predominantly festivals and different arts festivals in Scotland. I started my degree in Glasgow. Sorry, I'm forgetting what it is. I started in 2015 doing film and television studies, and then took a little bit of a break and went back in 2022 to do a master's in film curation. And I did that part-time, so I am due to graduate this summer. I did the degree part-time predominantly so that I could try and gain some work experience in festivals whilst I was doing my degree. And the main draw of the film curation degree was the fact that it was quite integrated within film organisations in Scotland as well. So I have done work experience and quite a lot of work with the Silent Film Festival Hitfest. I have then also had I managed to work at the Edinburgh Fringe. I have recently been doing conferences at the University of Glasgow, and I have also worked with Culture Creative, who do a lot of Christmas lights displays up and down Scotland.
That's great. Thanks very much. And it's really nice to have that view from a part-time student's perspective as well. Finally, we have, from the student perspective, we've got Aylwin. Aylwin, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi there. I'm Aylwin Napier. I'm currently a master's student on the Information Management and Preservation programme at the University of Glasgow. So I came to university as a mature student through the Access course programme. So did English Literature and Philosophy at Access level, and then my undergraduate was joint honours in Digital Media and Information Studies and Film and Television Studies. I've just been accepted for my PhD, again with the Information Studies department, a glutton for punishment apparently. And in terms of sort of the work that I've done around the university and research, I'm currently a graduate teaching assistant, so I teach labs and seminars to first and second year digital media students. I've also done an internship with the Archives and Special Collections department at Glasgow University, which was focusing on the Cycling World Championships in Glasgow last year. I've also been lucky enough to be sent on research internships to the University of West Indies in Kingston, Jamaica, and currently have the University of Hong Kong coming up this summer, as well as having had research trips to the British Film Institute in London, the Chester Beatty Museum and Trinity College in Dublin this summer. So yeah, that's a general overview.
That's great. Thanks, Elwyn. And finally, last but not least, I'd like my colleague, Dr. Elvira Grossman, to introduce herself. We thought it's always useful to hear from academics in different areas. So, Elvira, do you want to say a little bit about you and where you come from?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Adele, for this introduction. Yes, my name is Elvira Grossman. I am a white female in my early 60s. I am a lecturer in Polish and comparative literature, working in the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. I am also a program director for comparative literature undergraduate program. And I am currently looking after postgraduate taught programs, one in comparative literature and the other in translation studies. And I'll be more than happy to say more about this later on.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And it would be great if we can see in the chat your comments, your questions, any queries that you might have for anyone of the panel, or even if it's just that you want us to post a link from the appropriate part of the website. If you can't find something, then we should know where to look, so we can do that for you. So please do let us know those things in the chat to the video. It's also really good to see where people are coming from. So if you want to post where your location is, or the degree that you're thinking of applying to, or the degree that you're coming to do, even better, then please let us know that in the chat. It's always really nice to see that sort of information. So thank you very much. So first of all, I just want to ask a couple of general questions to our panel, to the students on the panel. In particular, what contact did you have with employers when you were studying? Did you have any contact with employers at all? And so first up, I'm going to ask that question to Kirsty.
Yes, I did. So my course, MLit Dress and Textile Histories, it was I think the second or the third year it ran when I did it. So it was quite a young course. And on the year that I started, it sort of started its affiliation with V&A South Kensington. So there was a lecturer on the program who was from V&A South Kensington, and a really kind of crucial part of the course was that there's a work placement module that you do in the second semester. And I think on that course in particular, it was definitely the best chance to, for one, obviously get experience in the workplace, and to make contact with employers, because fashion history is sometimes seen as quite a niche subject, and I think when you go into it as a master's, you're not ultimately sure where you might end up with that degree. So yeah, speak specifically about V&A South Kensington, because that was the work placement that I got to do. So I went to London for a month in the second semester of my degree, and sort of got hands-on work experience, but with that particular particular contact who ended up being my employer 6 months later, which was very, very fortuitous. But I think for sure, lots of different opportunities with different employers, but I think particularly through that work placement stream.
That's smashing, Kirsty, thank you. Jenny, can you tell us a bit about the contact you've had with employers?
Quite similar to Kirsty, actually. Film curation and sort of film and television studies at Glasgow more generally links really closely into different film festivals across Scotland and the UK, which was one of the main reasons I went to do that course. The convener actually at the moment is the founder of Africa in Motion Film Festival. And again, similar to Kirsty, my research interests are quite niche. I sort of specialise in silent and archival and early film. So the fact that I was able to collaborate with HipFest, which is Scotland's only silent film festival, as part of the course was a massive draw. And it was very heavily integrated into our lectures. So our predominant lecturers were both industry professionals as well as film academics, and we quite regularly spoke with different film festival and film experts as part of our teaching in the course, as well as having placements and sort of creative practice modules as well. So yeah.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And Aylwin?
Yeah, quite similar to Jenny actually, just with her mentioning Africa in Motion as well as the Document Film Festival. These were ones that were brought up during my time studying with film and TV in terms of professionals that we were put in touch with. Throughout the course, we met like the head of commissioning at Channel 4, met Campbell Glennie, who runs the Edinburgh TV Festival. In terms of employability, there's actually a program called The Network, which is a year-long graduate program, literally for people coming out of their undergraduate in film and TV to go into the industry in a paid role for a year. As well as that, with myself, I ended up working for 6 weeks on The Mandalorian as a rushes runner. That directly came through the film and television department as experience. The internship I was mentioning earlier on, that's done through the University of Glasgow's internship hub, which you have access to through having a Glasgow University email. So again, these are direct positions that there's no way I would have had if it weren't for Glasgow University. In regards to sort of future employment, my master's will give me accreditation with CILIP, which is the Chartered Institute for Library and Information Professionals, as well as the ARA, which is the Archives and Records Association. Both those accreditations are important, but actually as my master's program is ongoing at this moment in time, you're put onto multiple mailing lists that give you access to jobs for the future with those accreditations, as well as networking events such as conferences and online digital resources that allow you to create effectively network relationships that will mean that you can slide straight into a position upon graduation, unless you're like me and you're wanting more education and therefore doing a PhD for another 3 years. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of employment out there for you if you're wanting it.
Okay, that's great. And I know that as a university, we've always taken this sort of gown and town. Sorry, we've always taken this gown and town attitude where we really celebrate links with the local community. We also have lots of memorandums of understanding with various different cultural heritage organisations and institutions like the National Library of Scotland, Glasgow Women's Library, and many more. So we have these really long established links, and we like to make the most of them because we think our students and our graduates are brilliant, and so we like to be able to celebrate them. And quite often, I think our biggest networks are often our alumni, and we're really pleased to have people on the call today who are alumni, all of you with undergraduate degrees from the university and either finished or studying postgraduate degrees as well. So that's smashing. So I hope that's answered your question. We've got another couple of questions in the chat. So both of these are actually students looking at information management and preservation, and also then someone else from museum studies. Now, they are great choices, and I would say that because information studies, where both these degrees are housed, is my home department, my home subject. So of course I think they're great degrees. It's worth pointing out that there have been a series of individual question and answers which have been focused either on individual degree programs or on degrees offered within particular subject areas. And so because they're both information studies, then in a moment we'll put a link up for you to be able to access the particular chat for those. So hopefully that will give you more information. So just to take the particular points that those questions are asking. So Aishat from Nigeria, coming to study information management and preservation, wanting to be connected with a current or past student. Well, I'm really delighted that Aylwin, as a current student, is available on this course. If you've got specific questions, you can ask those to him through the chat. It might be that those questions will be answered if you haven't already watched the larger Q&A for these programs. However, if you find that you don't have time today or the question isn't answered on the chat, then you're always very welcome to email the program staff, and if we can, then we'll help. And that applies no matter what program you're interested in coming to do here at Glasgow. So I hope that's answered that question, Aishat. So thank you very much for that. The next one is Carolyn, thinking about doing a Masters in Museum Studies, wanting to know if the University of Glasgow offers any help with job placements in the UK and the US. Okay, so I'm going to take that in two bits because I'm not entirely sure what you mean. So you might mean in-course placement. So placements which happen whilst you're on the programme, or about jobs after you finish. So I'm going to cover both of those separately, and hope that one of those will answer that question. So if you're interested in undertaking a placement whilst you're on the programme, whilst you're studying, then as various people have mentioned, especially Aylwin, then there is this internships hub. So you can log on to the university website, you can go to the internships hub, and you can see which internships are available for you. So Aylwin, I know you said you've done an internship. Jenny, did you also say you've done one?
Yeah, I've done two internships via the internship hub, both with different conferences at University of Glasgow. I have had interviews for external organisations as well. I've yet to be successful in one of those, but yeah, there's loads of opportunities, and it's somewhere that's really unique in terms of the opportunities that come up. It can be quite hard to find them elsewhere, because of the fact that they are created through partnerships with the university, and quite often different colleges get funding to set up third sector organisations. I know Glasgow's just finished a round of applications for one called Find a Solution, and I think that had about 12, maybe more, placements with third sector organisations that otherwise wouldn't be able to have people in paid work. So yeah, it's a really interesting way of finding placements.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. And I think sometimes, from what you and Aylwin have said, sometimes these feed into your work, the coursework, the academic work, and sometimes actually it's about growing and building your CV. And you can see there a link which tells you the sorts of opportunities and the sorts of placements that the university is looking for, but also how employers can benefit from this as well. Kirsty, did you do any internships whilst you were?
Yeah, I did. So when I was at Glasgow, it was something called Club 21, which I think has probably evolved into, I'm sure it still exists, just under a different name. So I did an internship in the university archives. So up until that was hugely useful, actually, because up until that point, I'd only really worked with 3D objects. I should have mentioned, in between my degree at Glasgow and between my undergraduate and the master's I went back on to do, I did also like Aylwin, glutton for punishment. I did another master's in museum studies at University of St Andrews. So yeah, up until I came back to do my second master's, a lot of my experience was with 3D objects. So doing the internship at the University of Glasgow Archives was amazing, because I got to work with a lot of the incredibly early archival material that university holds. So a lot of the founding charters for the university that date from the 15th century. And that's obviously been, it's been really useful to my career as well. So I think, exactly what everyone's been saying, that idea of creating a network, broadening your experience. I definitely got both of those things out of that the internship I did in association with the university.
Yeah, that's smashing. Thanks. So these basically life generally is what you make it, isn't it? But certainly, I think when you're a student, when you're here for postgraduate study, then there's the temptation to think, oh, here for a year, I need to just cram as much academic study into that year as possible. But it's really important to try and grow that CV, especially if you're on a professional preparation master's programme. So I'm going to go to Elvira now and just ask Elvira, translation studies, that's another professional preparation master's programme that you mentioned that you contribute to. Can you say a little bit about some of the extra work experience or placements or internships that some of those students have done?
Yes, with great pleasure, I'll do so. It's actually before our students go and kind of interact with the wider world, they do also get some opportunities within our school to build some networks and also meet people and interact interculturally as well, because our community is quite diverse in terms of languages, in terms of culture. So two of the opportunities that our school offers to existing students, and these are the ones that I held within the premises of the school, is one called Ethioculture, and this is organized by Professor Stephen Forser, the head of our school. And actually food here is just an excuse to go much deeper into cultural differences and to meet other students, to meet other academics who also come from all different parts of the world. And another very interesting space for making connections and also building a network is an evening that is called Gaming for Fun, but also Knowledge Expansion. And clearly, here is a great opportunity for our students because they come to realize when they participate in this event that actually gaming offers a great opportunity to disseminate your own research findings and your own interest. So a lot of our students became very inspired by these gaming evenings because clearly we all bring different games into the table. People get excited and inspired by all the possibilities that the world of gaming now has to offer. So these are just two of the examples. But our students also get to interact in a slightly more academic spaces. One of them is the Center for Comparative Literature and Translation. This actually brings translation studies together with comparative literature, focuses on various interactions and intercultural exchanges, also interdisciplinary exchanges. And this is a great opportunity, again, to meet other people, also non-academics, even though it is very much based in research that we share, and also to meet some invited speakers. Despite this kind of a very based research and academic platforms, our school also is connected to some kind of other possibilities. And some of my predecessors mentioned various internships. This is also possible for our students. And these internships tend to be offered by our partners. One of the possible platforms is known as GramNet, and this is Glasgow Refugees, Asylum and Migration Network. This is a very interesting network that operates within the university, but is also connected to policymakers, to diplomats, to politicians. And actually, it is a great opportunity to make an impact, yes, on the wider world. This is where research gets disseminated wider. This is where you can meet people who actually can also introduce our students to potential career opportunities. So it's a very valuable platform. And there's also one more, and this one is actually very interesting because it hosts a lot of events outside of the university. This is actually supported by the UNESCO chair professor, Professor Alison Phipps, who co-organizes the spring schools. One is actually upcoming this month. It is usually held in May, and it is held by other different centers and places that offer internships as well. So it disseminates research, it makes connections for international opportunities as well. It's called the Spring School. It also shares the integrational practices for our students and for non-academics, the so-called stakeholders, people who are involved in various initiatives. So in a sense, there is really plenty of great opportunities. We do create a very safe space to interact with wider world, but also to disseminate research and our students' interests. So I do hope that if you come, you will enjoy studying with us just as much as our current students do.
That's great, Elvira. Thank you. And Elvira, of course, is in the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, and some of the things that she's described are specifically for those students, and others are for a wider audience. So you can sign up. And I know that links have appeared on the screen for some of those. I have to say, the thing that sounds the best to me is that Eat Your Culture. So I'm really looking forward to my invitation to that when that happens this next academic year, Elvira. That sounds absolutely great. And actually, it is really important that we say how much we do celebrate having people from all sorts of different cultures and backgrounds and parts of society and with different experiences all coming. And that's especially valuable at postgraduate level. I think our degree programs are really made by the composition of the student body. And we're really, really lucky in Glasgow that we have students from all over the world coming here, and they really do enhance our experience. So that might be the US or it might be Nigeria, just two examples where I've seen students are coming from today. And you really are welcome when you're here. So I said I was going to take Carolyn's question in two sections. So first of all, looking at opportunities whilst you were here. Some courses do, as Jenny and Kirsty and Erwin have described, do have sort of particular placement options. But then also the thing that I want to highlight, the other thing that can happen whilst you're on the programme, whilst you're studying, is the opportunity to shape your dissertation around an organisation or something that might actually look and feel very much like a placement. And your dissertation, that's the long bit of academic work, your longer research project, which happens after you've completed the talk part of your course. And certainly in the past, we've had students who have either taken advantage of opportunities that we know about as members of staff and links that we might have, or they've gone and found their own opportunities, and we have then worked with them to make sure that that opportunity works really well in terms of giving them what they need for their academic piece of work, as well as actually allowing them to get more experience and enhance their CV and really just have a good time, because at the end of the day, you've all chosen subjects to apply to and to study which you're interested in. And so you want to go and have a good time. This is the field that you want to be in. And so we'll do our best to facilitate that. The second part of Carolyn's question about job placements, both in the UK and the US. If that's for after you've finished, then what we can do, we quite often make graduates aware of opportunities which are sent to us, and actually then we find that graduates of ours that are working in the field also send us opportunities that we can pass on to current students or students who have recently graduated. So we certainly do help with that, and we help with things like writing references or pointing people in the right direction. People can ask us for careers advice, but the advice that we give can be very subject specific. And I'd just like to use this opportunity to highlight the wonderful work that our careers service at the University of Glasgow do. They are really, really helpful, and I've sent no end of students to them in the past to get help with application forms and interviews, interview techniques and so on and so forth. And I haven't had a single negative report back about them. Their advice is really, really spot on. They really take their time to know the different destinations that graduates go into from the different subjects and the different degree programs, and they do their very best to help. So we've got a wonderful career service here. You can see the link at the bottom of the screen there, so it's well worth going and taking a look. They have a series of videos that they've produced on things like interview techniques or writing your CV, so it's worth going and having a look at those. And it's never too early to start building up that portfolio of skills. So It's always worth having a draft CV, and as you're doing things on the program that you're on, as you're volunteering, as you're having these internships, then just thinking about how that's adding to your CV and making sure that's kept up to date as you go. Then you're ready to go if that dream, or when that dream job comes up and you want to apply at really short notice. So I think we've heard already from some of our students about their job. But Kirsty, would you like to say a bit about the job that you're doing now, and how your degree program prepared you for it?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I work at V&A Dundee, which is the only V&A outside of London, and it opened 5.5 years ago. So I work in the exhibitions department. We mainly do exhibitions. In fact, we don't have a collection, which is quite an interesting way for a museum to run, particularly when a lot of your experience beforehand has been predominantly working with collections. And I would say predominantly the experience I gained on the dress and textiles course was when I worked. So last year in 2023, V&A Dundee did its first self-initiated exhibition, which was on tartan. Seems quite fitting for Scotland's Design Museum. And tartan was predominantly, it wasn't exclusively a textiles show, but it was predominantly a textile exhibition. And so many of the networks and the contacts and the knowledge itself that I gained from that master's was just hugely important to the curation of that exhibition. I'll say network because the network isn't just your peers on the course, which I'm really lucky that my peers on the course are some of my closest friends now, and my closest contacts within my professional life, but also your contacts, very much the people that teach you as well. And two of the kind of closest contacts that I've had since I graduated were two of my lecturers, which is Professor Leslie Miller and Dr. Sally Tuckett, have just been this amazing influence on my career and my life. And I'm so privileged that I've been able to carry that through for the past 10 years. They were both on the advisory panel for the tartan exhibition. So they were able to shape it with both of their amazing expertise. But in terms of so tartan was one thing, but in terms of my day-to-day role, so as a curator at V&A Dundee, so I curate exhibitions, but I'm also a sort of project manager as well. So for example, we just opened an exhibition on kimono really recently, actually only opened on Saturday, which I worked on, and I was involved in things like shaping the exhibition design for V&A Dundee and the sort of practical delivery of that show. So doing the transport of the objects, the placement of the objects, molding the interpretation text, everything that involves really in creating an exhibition. And one that was obviously a hugely textile influenced as well. So I think although I started at V&A Dundee probably as more of a generalist, I think over the past couple of years, my the particular exhibitions that I work on tend to be more geared towards fashion and textiles, and that's definitely because of the expertise that I have is very much valued there, and that's entirely down to the course I did.
That's fantastic, Kirsty. And I have to say, I'm really jealous of you working on that exhibition. I saw that advertised the other day, and I thought I'm going to have to take a trip up to Dundee because
I'm biased, but it looks really good. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I don't know if anyone else has seen the details about that exhibition on kimonos, but it looks amazing. So I'm going to definitely make sure that I take a trip. And actually, in Glasgow, we have wonderful art galleries and museums and archives and libraries ourselves, but we're also not far away from these other wonderful things. So we've got V&A at Dundee, which takes, I don't know, about an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and a half by train. We have, Aberdeen is only a little bit further, just an hour further up the line. You can get to Inverness relatively easily, and we are only 40 minutes by train from Edinburgh as well. So Scotland is a big country, but we're really close and really well able to get to these different places. And we just had a bank holiday weekend, and the weather was pretty good. I spent this weekend. I went to Linlithgow Palace, and I had a look around Linlithgow Palace. So that is on the Glasgow-Edinburgh train line. So only probably 25 minutes, half an hour from Glasgow, and had a look at that. And there's some really interesting conservation and restoration work being done there too. So that was quite interesting on a professional perspective for many of the people that are going to be on the call. So I'm just going to ask a bit of an off-topic question just now. What's your favourite thing to do that isn't related to study? So I'm going to ask you first, Elvira.
My favorite thing is really going to local theaters. You would be surprised actually how interesting the local offer when it comes to various performances is in Glasgow. There are some visiting companies, but there are also some companies at Citizens Theatre. There is also a Tron that offers very interesting experiences. And the music scene in Glasgow is really lovely. We have the Glasgow Concert Hall, and we also have kind of a more populist kind of an entertainment that comes with King's Theatre, that also hosts a lot of different shows for fun lovers. So actually the cultural scene of Glasgow, including literary festivals as well. There was a little bit of uncertainty regarding I Write Literary Festival recently due to some problems with funding, but I think this has been resolved. So this is a wonderful festival that focuses on a lot of local literary development, but also invites contemporary writers from elsewhere. And we are also blessed with a fantastic film festival that Glasgow offers. It's usually February and March. This is a lovely scene. This year, the festival had really fantastic films that represented Palestine, that represented Ukraine, that represented border studies, very broadly understood, some based on real life stories, some being just an equalization of literary tales. So there is really a very vibrant cultural life. And finally, let's not forget about the lovely Edinburgh Theatre Festival. Even though it takes place during the summer, it's a wonderful opportunity to see companies that come from all over the world, a lot of young performers, a lot of young companies that bring really a wonderful broad exchange of different topics, different very difficult and challenging subjects as well, offering views on current ongoing conflict, but also making the audience quite thoughtful and reflective about the world in which we live. So I really love the cultural scene of Glasgow. And finally, those of you who really like to explore ecological issues, it is a wonderful place because the landscape of Glasgow and a lot of ecological related issues when it comes to literature and also a broader literary scene. It's a great place to investigate. It's a great place to get familiar with people who share ecological and eco-related interests and who also form international networks. So I think really Glasgow is a great place and has a lot of things to offer.
Yeah, that's great, Elvira. That's a wonderful summary. I'm going to come to Aylwin now. Aylwin, what's your favourite thing to do out with study?
I don't know where to start, really. Quite a lot. In terms of what Elvira was saying, I think she's made the point very well that there's an excellent mix of highbrow and lowbrow. I think Elvira covered some of the highbrow quite well, so I'll probably go a little bit lower brow then and say, like, I love the football, for example. You've got In the south side of the city, you've got Ibrox Stadium, which holds over 50,000. In the east end of the city, you've got Celtic Park, which holds over 60,000. Two world famous teams in Celtic and Rangers that you can visit. The nightclub scene is second to none in Glasgow. You have the world famous Sub Club, which regularly lists in the top 10 nightclubs in the world, along with SWG3, which has been really up and coming in the West End. Again, it's a multi-dimensional facility where it has restaurants, bars, gig venues, nightclubs. I think the total venue holds over 3,000, so it's just an enormous amount that it can do. Yes, as Elvira said, you can attend ballet, opera, classical music, but there's also a huge gig scene within Glasgow. I mean, we have at the larger scale, we have the OVO Hydro, which I believe is about 15,000 capacity, all the way down to local venues like King Tut's, Nice and Sleazy's, which are sort of smaller, kind of 100, 200 people venues that are fantastic. The food scene's amazing in Glasgow, like really, really up and coming. You have, if you're a hipster, the south side is for you. If you like your bakery and your brunch, you'll be treated well. But you have sort of classical restaurants within the West End, and you get really good bang for your buck. It's very reasonable eating out within Glasgow. From a personal standpoint, I'm quite outdoorsy, so it's the cycling and the running that I really love in Glasgow. So you have Glasgow Green, the Botanic Gardens, the Kelvin Walkway. In terms of cycling, you have the canal connections where you can take it all the way out to Balloch, to Loch Lomond, but you can also connect to Falkirk, go even further to Edinburgh, or if you're feeling really brave, head out to Troon. Just an amazing sort of networking situation. So yeah, the world really is your oyster. And as was mentioned earlier on, I mean, you're literally a £16 train journey away from the Fringe in August. And the fact is that it's an amazing festival, but also you're not going to be paying like £9,000 a night for a hotel if you're staying in Glasgow to go to the Fringe. It's going to save you so much money in terms of attending it. And another thing to keep in mind with the Fringe is that this year it's the 5th and 6th of August, but every year there are 2 days which are buy one, get one free for basically the whole festival. Well worth looking into. It means that you can have a full day out of the Fringe, taking in about 6-7 different shows easily for under £100. It's well worth it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's great. I think after everything that Elvira and Eowyn have said, I'm not quite sure what there will be that's left unsaid, but Kirsty or Jenny, do either of you have anything? So Kirsty.
Yeah, I think this is probably kind of connected to what Olwen was saying, but the idea of like you're so connected to like some of the most amazing scenery like in the world, to be honest. And full disclaimer, so I haven't lived in Glasgow since 2014, but I am a Glaswegian, so I'm gonna say that I can talk about this with with some experience. Like the fact that you can get the train to like Balloch and then you're in Loch Lomond, and then obviously you can if a little bit further you're on like the start of like from Helensburgh, you're on the start, no, is it Helensburgh? Of like the West Highland Way. You're just so connected to just incredible world-class scenery, and it literally is on your doorstep. It's like it's a train journey away, and plus all the amazing things that Elvira and Olwen have said as well. I think Glasgow is an amazing place, but I think you've just stated it so perfectly that I don't think there's anything else for me to add.
I think that's great. Jenny, did you have anything to add? Or no, everyone's covered everything. I mean, it really is. Glasgow really is the most amazing city. I came to Glasgow in 1999, as you can tell from the accent. I haven't quite picked the accent up yet, but I certainly have picked up an absolute love for Glasgow. It is the most amazing city, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else now. It's just great. There's always something to do, always something going on, but you're never that far away from a quiet place. For the parks in Glasgow are amazing, so you can always find time and space for yourself if you need to as well. So that's perfect, I think. Right, now's your last chance to get any questions in that you might want to ask us. So we're in the last 5 minutes of our scheduled chat today. So if you've got any burning questions that you want to ask us about your programme or anything else, then please do just let us know. I know that I noticed a question that I don't think I properly answered. There was somebody asking about internships opportunities for a particular degree program. The Internships Hub is available for all students, so it doesn't matter what degree program you're on, you can go and have a look. Some particular internships might be asking for a particular range of skills. So they might want skills in film curation or skills in paleography or skills in Polish, in which case you're more likely to be successful if you're a student from particular areas. But the Internships Hub is available for students from all areas, and you're welcome to apply to anything that really captures your imagination, that you think will help you to grow your CV. So I'm going to ask one sort of final question to our panelists about whether there's anything surprising that has surprised you about the study that you did, the master's study that you did at the University of Glasgow, or are still doing, that you feel has really prepared you for what did come next, or what you hope will come next. So I'm going to go to Kirsty. It's probably slightly easier to answer as a graduate, so I'm going to come to Kirsty first of all.
I think, I mean, I know it sounds a bit silly, but I think the work placement module, I think that was, I don't think at the time I was doing it, I realized how useful it would be to the rest of my degree. And I think it was that kind of perfect complement of having the theoretical skills, matched with research skills, obviously on the dissertation, because I did quite a traditional 15,000 words dissertation. But I think that work placement was, the thing that brought both of them together. And I think what's also been really nice as well, I know this wasn't really part of your question, but I'll just mention it as a kind of side note, is that at V&A Dundee, I've been able to host 3 of those work placements over the past 3 years. So I've basically been able to kind of return the favor to my course, which has been really nice as well. So it's also been really nice to, to kind of pass on some of that knowledge that I gained from my own work placement, and kind of equip current students with the skills to equip them on their career journey as well. So I think just work placement, and just I think what we've been talking about on this call, just making the most of any opportunity that you can get, and sort of molding it to fit your CV and kind of what you think is going to come next.
Okay, that's great. Jenny?
I think one of the things that surprised me the most about studying at university is you go in with this idea that you're going to come out with an in-depth knowledge of your subject area, which you do, but what caught me off guard the most was the level of transferable skills that you actually pick up whilst you're at university, that are so applicable to any job that you do, whether it be in your own subject area or not. And I know Glasgow very much leans into this, and it asks its students to look at student attributes that aren't necessarily always related to academic work. And I think in a point where actually trying to get work can be quite difficult, although there is amazing opportunities, there's a lot of people trying to get those amazing opportunities, being able to lean into those transferable skills and think about them on different levels of what you can offer, as well as just your expertise in a certain area, is a massive benefit that I hadn't anticipated. But I'm very grateful that I have been able to experience. And I am doing a bit of work at the moment with access to university courses in high schools, and it's trying to implement that idea early on, because it's not something that you're always taught to look out for when you go to university. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Jenny. Thank you. Eowyn, come to you next.
Yeah, I think something that actually just came to me when Jenny was speaking there is how much you can find your tribe at university, and you can really find who you're meant to be with and what you're meant to be doing. There's a thing where, similar to what Jenny was talking about, I definitely had imposter syndrome, hence why I was a mature student, was that I thought university wasn't for me. It's completely not true. Like, everyone that is here should be here. there's about 30,000 people. There's an enormous amount of like opinions and personality types that are here, and there is someone here that will be your friend, but you do need to put your head above the parapet to find that out. So I would say join societies that are of interest to you. You'll find sort of unification in terms of characters and ideas that you want to get along with. I think the other thing as well that really surprised me going into the masters is that at an undergraduate level, I learned a lot and I really enjoyed it, but it's quite theoretical. At masters, everything's became a lot more work driven, a lot more practical. So there's things like in this year, for example, I've been doing 2D digitization, I've been writing academic book reviews, I've been looking at work placements and working within archives that I never thought that I would before. These are specific things that are part of my skill set now and will become part of my CV, so that when I'm applying to jobs, I'll be like, yes, actually, I can do that. Yeah, I have worked with metadata before. Oh, you're working with X standards. I've worked with that in terms of metadata. These are not things I could say after graduating my undergrad. So I think, yeah, it's very important. And then just one final thing I would say that I think is essential to remember is there are going to be people who are graduating at the same level as you. What will separate you are these little things. It is becoming parts of these societies or expanding your skill sets, because you're going to have people where you both have the same degree. What is it that puts you above them? And a major part of that is like trying things out and being able to say at the end of the day, I've done this, this, and this. This is why you should hire me. It's very important to remember.
Yeah, that's great. And I know I'm not alone. I'm sure Elvira will agree with me and add in an example if you can think of one, Elvira. But I know that we all, us academics, all think very carefully across the programme about the sorts of assessment, whether they're summative and the mark counts, or whether they're formative and we're giving you informal feedback. We think really carefully about the assessments across the programme. So there might be one really long discursive essay, but then there might be a book review and a report that you need to write, and all sorts of different assessments. Do you have any exciting assessments you want to share with us, Elvira?
Yes, actually, one of them, I mean, you've mentioned book reviews, but it's also film reviews. A lot of our students work with film scenes as well, because when it comes to, translation and subtitling films, for example, our translation studies does a part of not only interpreting, but also devoted to translating different films and subtitles, which is a very vital scene right now, too, because clearly we do need, translated films and translated news as well. So subtitling is one of the examples I could give. And also, I mean, one of the aspects I did not really comment on was the various opportunities, employment opportunities for our graduates, and journalism is one of them. And clearly it does cover, journalistic work in cinema, in literary scene, but also in kind of daily events. Another one is tourism. A lot of our students end up in tourism industry, and also diplomatic services. We also have students who end up very happy doing different translation tasks for European Union and European Community, who move to Luxembourg and then find great opportunities, job opportunities there. So yes, I would say, one of the surprising and lovely things about Glasgow is its diversity. And even though a lot of people come here because they are interested in Scottish culture, they are interested in Scottish landscapes, and they are very much interested in what Scotland has to offer. And there is a great richness, absolutely, in this. But they also come and they are surprised how diverse and ethnically different the community is, and how much they can gain from each other, and how much they can gain through intercultural exchanges that all our platforms offer. So do come and study with us.
That is a brilliant note on which to end, I think, Elvira. So thank you very much. I just want to say thanks again to all of you for all of your questions that have been coming through. I really hope that we've managed to answer them all, but a special thanks to our panel, Kirsty, Jenny, Elwyn and Elvira. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks.